originally airing from 1992 through 1995 with a total of 85 episodes produced, was that of Batman the Animated Series. In Season 1, episode The Grey Ghost had Gotham stricken by a number of bombings with a demand to avoid further damage and even potential loss of life, as the entire incident of bombings reminded Bruce of a childhood memory that he had. Decades previously, he would watch an episode of the pulp-based series of The Grey Ghost. A whirring sound would have been heard shortly before the bombs exploded, and local police received a note demanding money on Sign the Mad Bomber, with memories of Bruce as Batman and Simon Trent as the Grey Ghost interchange, showing an unclear connection between the both of them. Simon Trent, the actor who portrayed the Grey Ghost in the pulp series, is now an elderly man living in an undesirable part of Gotham. Unable to also get acting work due to no one remembering the serial episodes of the Grey Ghost, he later sells merchandise that he had to a local collector, Ted. Details later helped Batman realize the connection to the Grey Ghost, on the fact that the studio that had the original footage of the Grey Ghost had burnt down, through circumstances depicted in the episode, with nearly all evidence of this series as well as Trent's importance in Gotham's acting history relating to the Grey Ghost gone. Trent later reveals that he has master copies of the entire series, and Batman later informs Trent that the series inspired him in part to become Batman. The whirring noise heard shortly before the bombs went off were actually Grey Ghost merchandise-based remote-controlled cars. Details hinted that Trent had sold a good amount of the Grey Ghost collectibles to Ted and had seen the pulp serials, and as a result actually became inspired to commit the crimes from the old episodes, as the bombings were used by remote-controlled toy cars. Since the footage of the Grey Ghost was all but gone, no one would have suspected him to be the culprit of the crimes. Batman and Trent later stopped Ted, and he's later arrested for the bombings, with Simon Trent being hailed as a hero. On public attention on him and the rediscovery of the Grey Ghost, his master copies are used to bring back the pulp serials for a then modern audience in Gotham, and eventually he's earning a comfortable living in retirement through royalties from the Grey Ghost. The episode ends with Bruce Wayne meeting Trent at a convention, on him mentioning that he had seen the old serials with his parents and that the Grey Ghost was his hero. Trent remembers that Batman had said the exact same thing and possibly deduced that Bruce was Batman. Simon Trent was voiced by Adam West, a well-known American actor who portrayed Batman in the 1960s live-action series. The concept of the Grey Ghost episode was made in part as a tribute to Adam West's work in the live-action series. In the comics, there were reasons as to what inspired Bruce Wayne to become Batman. In the Golden Age, a bat flying into Bruce's study was what inspired him. The animated series never really specifically had an inspiration as such for why Bruce became Batman, but the Grey Ghost implied that a young Bruce Wayne watching the pulp serials of the Grey Ghost inspired his actions as Batman, his movements and behavior as Batman, even his costume as a variant of the Grey Ghost's costume. In the original DC animated universe from the early 1990s to the early 2000s, had this be the definitive inspiration for Bruce to become Batman, and was referenced occasionally in the various other animated media. However, due to the Grey Ghost being a completely improvised and custom-made origin for Bruce's inspiration for being Batman in the cartoons, the character of Simon Trent or even the Grey Ghost were later forgotten from the DC animated universe. There were a few other examples of the Grey Ghost related to or depicted in DC's works, but the character was and is largely considered to be a relic of the animated series. Sometimes a character can be forgotten because they were created to be a specific origin story for an animated series, and only the depicted animated series.